I'm Elizabeth, currently 50 years old, living in an unfamiliar America. Not being proficient in English or communication, I had a hard time adapting. The reason I'm in America, which took me a long time to adapt to, is my son Matthew. Matthew is now a Major League Baseball player. Approaching his 30s, he said he felt insecure without me, so I reluctantly came along. Matthew seems happy to have achieved his dream of becoming a major leaguer, but for me, it's more of a relief. It wasn't easy getting to this point. I had Matthew when I was just 20 years old. When I became pregnant with Matthew, my husband Anthony was 28. So we decided to marry and have the baby, a classic shotgun wedding. Anthony worked hard to support Matthew and me, and we had happy times together. However, when I was 25, Anthony developed cancer. It progressed quickly, and before we knew it, he was given a terminal diagnosis. Anthony and I were shocked. Matthew's smile was our only solace. Anthony passed away suddenly, not even 6 months after the diagnosis, leaving me in deep grief. But I resolved to work night shifts to protect Matthew. Thankfully, my parents were supportive, so I could work at night while they looked after Matthew. Matthew, inspired by playing catch with Anthony, joined a local baseball club at age 6.
I hit the ball today. I was so happy to make a good hit.
That's great, dear.
Such conversations were our daily routine. Matthew never complained or showed any dissatisfaction, perhaps thanks to my parents. As he advanced in elementary school, Matthew shared his dream with me.
I'm going to be famous and make life easy for you, Mom.
He was so determined, and I was delighted.
A famous baseball player, like in the major leagues.
His eyes sparkled as he nodded.
I'll play in the majors in America. You can have whatever you want. Do whatever you like.
I found his confidence amusing and laughed, which made him pout slightly. I decided to support his dream by saving money for his future. But in my heart, I believed dreams change, and I should support him in whatever he chooses. Then, as Matthew was about to finish compulsory education, both my parents passed away. First, my dad died of illness. Then my mom, who had been caring for him, passed away too. I was reminded of Anthony's death and cried daily, but Matthew supported me through this. In high school, his dedication to baseball paid off, and he was admitted to a famous baseball high school. Let's fit your patience. Though it was far from our home, I moved with him. I wonder if it's from around that time. Perhaps Matthew was in a rebellious phase, and he started saying strange things. Being weird is a rule within Matthew. Up until that point, he hadn't said anything, and there were no special rules. But I don't know why. Isn't maybe he didn't want me to interfere, or maybe he wanted to improve the flow of his day. That was a pretty harsh rule for me. There is no end to the rules when you get down to the details, but if you extract just a few, it will be terrifying. Here are the top 10. 1. Prepare a bath for him when he gets home at night. 2. Wash his back. It's hard to reach in the bath. Here 3. Choose clothes that suit his mood after his bath. 4. Never include foods he dislikes in meals. 5. Keep the house always clean. 6. As Matthew's mom, always look neat and tidy. 7. iron and neatly fold laundry. 8. Be always available for contact. 9. Prepare all his gear the day before a trip. 10. Remember that housework is a woman's job, not to be expected of a man. I wonder how it seems.
Even with these many rules, I honestly feel like saying you must be kidding.
But with Matthew, there are even more rules, making it tougher. Already tired from work, these demands only reduce my personal time. Indeed, I was exhausted until I got used to these rules. I even thought I might collapse. I've asked Matthew to stop imposing such rules.
His unreasonable response was, I don't see what's wrong with asking for such basic things. Why can't you do them? I think not realizing this while working. My parents had spoiled Matthew. Why can't you do them SNXZ 762 wearing Theremin Mac 1,070,075?
I think not realizing this while working was my mistake. Fortunately, I followed Matthew's rules, memorizing and managing them by his final year of high school. Matthew was scouted by his desired team and joined immediately, his hard work paying off. Certainly, he balanced studies and baseball, a step closer to his major league dream. He was an exceptionally talented son. I was proud of Matthew's steady progress toward his dream. Though I thought his current stage was enough, becoming a major leaguer seemed crucial for him, often looking unsatisfied. However, everything changed after about 7 years with the team. An offer came from a famous American team, a strong one, and Matthew was overjoyed. I was as happy as if it were my own achievement, and we celebrated grandly that day. But secretly, I was relieved about another thing. My release for Matthew. Ideally, I should have finished parenting when he was scouted, but we stayed together, him not quite independent. To me, Matthew in his 20s seemed like a big child. His move to an American team would change that. I believed I would finally be free. But it wasn't that simple.
Why aren't you coming with me?
Matthew looked anxious when I said I wouldn't accompany him.
You're an adult now, Matthew. You can manage alone since you speak English.
Alexis spoke. Matthew's expression darkened. He had assumed I would come, and despite how much I insisted on going alone, he refused and even threatened to quit being a major leaguer. I thought about how we, along with our parents, had supported Matthew in Anthony's absence, possibly making him insecure about being alone. So I agreed to go to America with him, thinking it better than him giving up his dream. The transfer was hectic with passports, finding a place to live, and other procedures. Since I had to quit my job, I needed to find work in America. Matthew said I didn't need to work since he was earning, but the idea of staying home and serving him was distressing, so I insisted on working. My lack of English was a problem. When a friend in America heard about our move, they called and offered me a job at their bar, which I happily accepted. But to Mao in America, thanks to Matthew's team manager, we got a house. And now Matthew and I arrived safely in America, and with the help of the coach and Matthew's team, he prepared a house for us. It's bigger than our place in France, with a garden and quite comfortable. Luckily, it's near my friend's place, so I secured a job and am living meaningfully. I can understand English better now, though speaking fluently is still hard. but at 50, it's honestly tough. Matthew is busy with the major leagues, often away from home. I have more freedom, but the rules have become even stricter since he joined the majors, making me long for a settled life. I wish Matthew would find a girlfriend to hasten this, but being focused solely on baseball, he shows no interest in women, making my hopes seem futile. However, my hope was not in vain.
Well, Mon, actually, there's someone I want to introduce to you.
While folding laundry, Matthew said this, seemingly embarrassed. Instantly, I knew the person he wanted to introduce was a woman. Inside, I was doing a victory pose, but outwardly, I kept calm and pretended not to understand.
Oh, a friend, perhaps.
So I'm a girlfriend.
Just as I thought, I was truly grateful that Matthew had a girlfriend, and it was a relief for me. I quickly arranged a date to meet Matthew's girlfriend, eagerly awaiting the day. We decided to have dinner at home at Matthew's request, so I planned to put on my best cooking performance. I didn't know if she was French or a foreigner, but I was grateful she was dating Matthew. Upon a temple, on the day I nervously awaited the arrival of Matthew's first girlfriend. He had gone to pick her up, so they should arrive soon. I repeatedly checked my appearance in a full-length mirror and tasted the food, ensuring everything was perfect.
I'm home.
About an hour after Matthew had left, I heard his voice, followed by a faint female voice. As I went to greet them at the entrance, I saw a beautiful French woman standing there. Her long hair was neatly tied, her makeup light and simple, and her smiling face was earnest and charming.
Nice to meet you. I'm Elizabeth, Matthew's mother. Pleasure to meet you.
Thinking she was French, I greeted her in French.
Nice to meet you. I'm Sarah. Please take care of me.
My guess was right. She spoke fluent French, so she must be French. I invited Sarah in and began serving the dishes. I had prepared a variety of side dishes, and Sarah seemed impressed by them.
Did you make all this, Elizabeth?
Thank you, let's eat. After that, the three of us had a lot of fun talking about various things. We had a lively conversation about various topics, including how Matthew and Sarah met, Matthew's childhood, and baseball. I learned that Sarah was 5 years younger than Matthew, 25 years old, and had moved to America with her parents 10 years ago. She was quite accustomed to America, fluent in English, and had met friends. Hoping Sarah could teach Matthew English, I felt relieved seeing them build a good relationship. They had several dates, and I gradually became reassured about their relationship. When Sarah visited our house, Matthew's rules became stricter, and I diligently cooked and cleaned to the utmost. One day when Matthew was away on a trip, Sarah visited me. Knowing my schedule, she chose my day off to come. I was caught off guard, not expecting her to visit alone, and with Matthew absent, I was unprepared, with no makeup on and the house untidy.
It's a bit messy right now.
Beturns Teals Abel Fitivik Tigestig going out to eat, fearing Matthew's anger, but Sarah, usually cheerful, was expressionless and pushed her way inside.
It's fine. I just came to say something.
Sarah's cold demeanor was baffling. Where had the always smiling, kind Sarah gone? That was all I could think about.
Actually, Matthew proposed to me the other day.
I couldn't believe these words came from the cold Sarah. It was such happy news, but I hesitated to show my joy honestly.
That's wonderful.
I managed to smile and told Sarah, who then sighed heavily, threw her designer bag on the large sofa, and sat down heavily. She crossed her elegant legs and glared at me.
Matthew says he wants to live with you after we get married. I really wish he wouldn't.
I live together.
Isn't it because you have no money, always depending on Matthew, mooching off him like an old fool?
If it were true that I was after Matthew's money, Sarah's words would be justified, but in reality, it's different. I manage Matthew's money, but I only take minimal living expenses and live on earnings. Matthew is rarely home, so I don't even receive $2,000 from him.
Did he say something about it?
Virtually as Sarah kept sighing and glaring at me, I asked her. It seemed from her expression that Matthew hadn't said that. I told her I would talk to Matthew about not living together and to rest assured. And she reluctantly agreed, then left. I admired her determination to come all this way just to say that. A few days later, when Matthew returned, I immediately brought up the living arrangement.
Matthew, you proposed to Sarah.
He looked surprised and speechless.
You told her we would live together after getting married. Why?
Ignoring Matthew's continued surprise, I pressed on. Matthew almost dropped his phone at the words living togethers, clearly shocked that I knew about it.
Why do you know about that?
Sarah came over. Matthew, I don't plan to live with you.
And not Mom, it's safer to live together.
I understood Matthew's concern. He's probably worried about me being alone. While I appreciate his care and feel sad about separating, I long for freedom.
You worry too much. I'll be just fine.
I smiled to reassure him, but his expression darkened.
I can't do anything if Mom's not with me.
What are you talking about? You've managed so well so far, Matthew, and Sarah will be with you. What are you worried about?
And my attempts to cheer up Matthew didn't seem to reach him. At Spactive Tea, I assured him that I would help him and Sarah spend time together, and that we could always meet. He seemed a bit relieved and accepted it. I encouraged Matthew to proceed with the wedding preparations, and when I met Sarah again, she looked relieved that there wouldn't be a living arrangement with me. I understood. Living together would be pleasant for her. Watching the couple prepare for their wedding, I felt relieved. But eyes on the wedding day, the ceremony of a major leaguer was grand, with many attendees. There were guests from France and other foreign teams, making it a large-scale event, held in America. It brought joy to many, regardless of nationality. With the wedding over, I felt my role as a mom was coming to an end. The mix of happiness, joy, and sadness filled me. The 5-hour ceremony ended peacefully, and I relaxed, but there was an after. Right next, Matthew and Sarah's friends were expected to attend. Since it was at our house, I had to prepare all the food. I had done some preparations the day before, but as I couldn't handle everything alone, I asked neighbors and acquaintances for help.
What's up? No one's here yet. Why don't you relax a bit more?
I'll help with the preparations, Mom. Can you help Sarah with her hair? You said you gotta tie up bangs.
It seemed they wanted me to help with Sarah's hairstyle. Her long hair didn't quite match the dress she was wearing. I agreed to Matthew's request and went to another room with Sarah.
What shall we do? Leave the side hair down and curl it, or put it all up? A half up might be nice too.
I sat Sarah in front of the mirror, imagining various hairstyles while touching her soft hair. But Sarah just looked at me through the mirror, not with a cute gaze, but a stern one, reminiscent of when she had complaints.
After this after party, we'll submit the marriage registration.
Congratulations.
We'll do with this. Matthew will be mine. So, Elizabeth, since you're no longer needed to conveniently provide money, I guess you're not needed anymore.
Sarah chuckled, thinking it was funny. I pretended not to notice Sarah's gaze and started arranging her hair.
Yes, that's true.
Normally, such words would bother me, but I felt quite good. They'll helpy Terrio confidi for Silleif. And Matthew and Surly for their honeymoon, I plan to return to France. The house will be theirs, and there's no need for me there. I haven't told Matthew yet, but I guess it will be fine as a post-facto report, as thinking about going back to France excites me. America was not bad, but I missed the French culture and air. The neighbors were kind to me, even though I couldn't speak English, and I had many enjoyable new encounters. However, I was unsatisfied with my casual response, and Sarah glared at me more intensely.
Butcher, are you okay with this? You won't get any more money from Matthew. He's going to be mine. Are you okay with this? You won't be mine.
But despite her repeating the same thing, I smiled at Sarah and nodded.
That would be a real help.
Surprised, Sarah's narrowed eyes widened, and she uttered a small ache.
Actually, I've always wanted to wait for Matthew here.
I placed a memo on Sarah's lap that I had been planning to give her and continued doing her hair. Sarah opened the memo, her eyes widening in shock.
Wake him up at 5 a.m. Give him a toothbrush and washcloth, and make sure he doesn't miss any spots when brushing. After that, he goes for a training run, so prepare his training clothes and water immediately. He gets angry if the oatmeal isn't freshly cooked for breakfast, so start cooking right after seeing him off. Make sure to balance vegetables and meat for the side dishes. He gets angry if the same side dish appears twice in a week, so plan a weekly menu.
I kept talking, detailing the rules I had followed, imagining the time and Matthew's conditions. I could clearly see through the mirror that Sarah's expression was turning pale. I wasn't trying to be mean or sarcastic to Sarah, who was going to be Matthew's wife. I just wanted to ensure she understood the rules for a long-lasting relationship with him.
Sarah, you want Matthew's money, right? Then this should be easy for you. Good luck.
After finishing Sarah's hair, I put my hand on her shoulder and whispered softly. Sarah suddenly shivered, visibly shaking. I understand. Anyone would be terrified receiving a list of so many rules. But compared to Matthew's money, it's a small price to pay.
I didn't know about these rules. Matthew thinks these rules are normal, just like it's normal for you to eat and sleep in daily life.
I smiled gently, petted Sarah's shoulder again, and left her in the room to rejoin the others. As I expected, Matthew and Sarah divorced immediately.
I can't keep up.
I thought she was tougher, considering how she looked down on me, but I was wrong.
Soon after the divorce, Matthew contacted me, asking, "Can you come back right now?" I politely refused.
I'd already returned to France and was truly happy with my newfound freedom.
Matthew, you're an adult now. You need to take care of yourself. Let me know if you find someone nice again.
I said this to a disheartened Matthew over the phone and hung up. Constantly protecting Matthew would only hinder his growth. And since I will pass away before him, considering his future, I had to let go. Sometimes I miss him and want to see him, but I often see him on TV or watch his recorded performances. I took out the oldest video of Matthew's growth from under the TV stand and played it. In it, not only Matthew but also Anthony appeared.
Hey, Anthony. Finally, both Matthew and I have achieved our wishes. Thank you for watching.
I touched Anthony's face on the screen and whispered softly. I don't know if Anthony was watching over us, but I'm sure he saw Matthew grow up. Matthew might have turned out a bit difficult, but I'm sure he'll meet someone good and find a better path. I will keep living my life so that I won't hinder Matthew now and in the future.